Hey, Camp Girl Boss, and welcome back to another live interview. Today, I am joined with Dr. Anna Garrett, and we are talking about a really important topic, which all of you guys are working on, and that is finding your voice. It's so important for all women and girl bosses because, as we know, the world is very noisy. And so, knowing what your voice is and how to stand in your message is super important throughout this journey. So, Dr. Anna Garrett, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your story and wisdom around this topic. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and I'm happy to be here and just share. I've never done anything with girls, so
awesome.
I work with women on the other end of the spectrum.
Well, welcome to Camp Girl Boss.
Thanks.
So we are live streaming in the forum, campers. You know the drill. If you've got a question, post it there. I will be watching and I will be sure to ask Anna throughout the conversation. But so first of all, let's get to know you. Who are you and what is it that you do in your neck of the woods?
So I am a pharmacist by training, a doctor of pharmacy, and I have an online business that I've had since 2012. Working with women who are experiencing hormonal challenges in what's called perimenopause and menopause. So that is the end of your hormonal spectrum. So a lot of you may be just kind of entering that and feeling like you're going crazy. Well, guess what? It happens on the back end too. So I work with those women and I help them work on their lifestyle, get their hormones back in balance, and really set them up for finding good health as they become older women. And it's been a great ride, and I have loved it. So going online and being virtual was a big step for me because I'd always worked as a pharmacist in a typical setting like a hospital, or I worked for industry for a drug company for a while, and I've done a lot of things, but this has been my longest stretch in one thing.
Yeah, well, and so that's one thing that we look at in camp is we look at the three levels of opportunity of being an entrepreneur, being a thought leader, and being an influencer. And it seems like that's the transition that you made, is that you started really building your thought leadership platform online and being able to support women through this totally different medium than what you were really trained to be doing, which is awesome.
Well, it is, and it allowed me to take my pharmacy education and a coach training certificate program that I did and put them together and create something for women that in 2012 didn't really exist. And so girls, ladies, as you get older, you're going to find out that there's a lot of this that's not talked about, and which is a shame because a lot of women don't know what's coming, and it really affects their health and their moods and their ability to hold a job. And so somebody needed to step into the pool, and I decided I would be that person because at that point I was having those issues. And so I was my ideal client. And when you are your ideal client, it's very easy to create a marketing plan that speaks to the issues that your clients are having. So
absolutely. Okay. Well, so for this topic, we are looking at something really similar to that of finding your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And as you jumped into this space, and, for you, it was kind of this unique combination of things that it sounds like you weren't really expecting to happen in your life. Can you talk about how you navigated the process of really figuring out who you are and find your voice within this space?
Well, first of all, it wasn't a very crowded space to start with, so that was kind of nice. But I like to write, and so I began to write blog posts. I also started a private Facebook group, which helped me grow a platform that was not really a captive audience, but a group that I could speak to directly. And there's like 6,600 women in there now at this point, and I've had it for 5 years. I also picked one social media channel that really suited me, and that was Facebook. I don't really understand Instagram. I think LinkedIn is boring, at least for my purposes it is. And so I just put together various pieces of a marketing pie and started with that and tried to keep it as simple as I could, because I think that's really important is to try not to complicate your life by trying to do everything to market to everybody under the sun. And I got very clear on who my ideal client was because I wanted to be able to speak directly to her. And that doesn't mean I don't work with people who aren't my ideal clients, but it means I have a very clear vision of who it is I want to speak to.
Well, and so, why do you think that this is so important for girl bosses, for women and for girls to go through, of really getting clear on what they stand for and what their specific voice really looks and sounds like?
Because when you are able to do that, you begin to attract the people who you want to work with. And, that's really what it's all about. You don't want to attract people that you don't want to work with, because there's nothing more miserable than that. But people start to find you and they really resonate with what you have to say. And then your business starts to gain momentum, because those people who resonate with what you have to say have friends who resonate with what you have to say. And so it just starts to build on itself. And I think as girls and women, we need to stand up and grab our power and be authentic and say what we mean and be okay doing that. And if you're shrinking behind a keyboard or you're afraid to get out there and say what you think, then it really is hard to build the kind of audience that you want.
Absolutely. Well, and that is one of the biggest challenges of doing this, especially when you're jumping into a space that you're really passionate about, is it can seem really intimidating to step into that. Sometimes it's easier to just get a job and work for somebody else, right?
Which is okay.
We all know what that is. Totally. Yes. And you know what? There are actually times in my life where I just needed to go get a job. And then there are times when I felt really courageous and stepped in to do my own thing. But so can you talk about one of the biggest lessons that you've learned, or some of the biggest challenges that you faced in finding your voice and really stepping into this new realm for yourself?
Well, I think my biggest challenge was a fear of being seen. So I'm somewhat introverted, which may not come across on this, but I've learned how to adapt my introversion into being able to be on video and get out and do things. And I would say that was my biggest challenge. And then for me, because I'm 60, using social media platforms and technology was something that was completely foreign to me. And so that has been a big learning curve. But what I've done to navigate that learning curve is hire people to do that for me, because that's not my genius work. So if you're an entrepreneur, you need to know what your genius work is. So what does that mean? That means the thing that only you can do. And so for me, that is taking care of my clients. And that is where my energy and my knowledge is best spent. So I hire people to do all of the website stuff and the social media stuff. And, I oversee it, but I don't do it myself.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's bookkeeping.
Oh, yeah, and an accounting degree, but I have a bookkeeper and an accountant. So
yes, and that's a good lesson for you campers. Is girl bosses don't have to do everything,
because you're the boss.
Yes, and really tapping into what's the best place for you to do your best work, and then how do you surround yourself with people who support you to do the things that you may not really like or you may not be really great at, and that's fine. That's just really being honest and maximizing your time. So what are some other tips that you found in helping women really step into this world of finding their voice and speaking their truth?
I think the biggest thing is just getting clarity on who you are and what your passion is and the direction you want to take to go into it. So for me, having that group to speak to directly and writing about topics that are important to women, that is my voice. I'm somewhat funny about it because, better to laugh than cry. And I wrote a book last year, so that also has really helped get my voice out there. So My voice is a mixture of funny and making sure that I write and speak in a way that appeals to people who are not in the medical profession, because there's enough confusion around medical things that nobody needs me to be talking at a level that's up here. They need it to be down here so that they can understand it. So that is what I really try to focus on, is being clear and understandable and injecting humor when at all possible.
Yeah. Well, and that's I think one of the most exciting things about even the concept of finding your voice is it really is kind of a combination of your message and your unique personality. Like what
Mm-hmm.
makes you you? People want to know you as a person. So it's not just the thing that you're talking about, it's how you show up in a way that they feel like they can connect with you. And sometimes that's even more intimidating than sharing the material. It's really sharing yourself.
Exactly. So being vulnerable with,
Mhm.
thousands of women is not the easiest thing to do. One other thing I'll say is everybody gets, if they're an entrepreneur and they're putting something out in the world, you can just know that somebody is going to try to steal your work.
Oh yeah.
So just know that right off the bat. But it's the way you come across, because nobody can do your work the way you do it. And when you have that
Yes.
voice and that ability to relate to your clients and potential clients, nobody can steal anything. I mean, they might steal your content, but you're still going to have your business.
Yeah, and they say that what is it that copying is the highest form of
More
flattery,
flattery. Yeah.
right? That people take your stuff because it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I have people take or copy stuff all the time, and it's so much of it is not looking at what you're building as that competitive nature, but ultimately people are following you and your
Exactly.
style, right? And the more that you embrace that and celebrate that, the less it's about your material and more about just you as a person. It then makes you bulletproof, that
Right.
anyone can take your stuff but they can't take you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a really important thing for people to understand.
And that's one thing that we look at in camp is your special sauce,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what really makes you you, that gives you that competitive advantage of no one can copy your special sauce. It's
Nope.
yours. So that's awesome. I love that. And I really appreciate you coming out today and talking about, this concept. I think that it's super important for all of our campers. And campers, if you do have a question that you want to send out to Dr. Anna, post it in the forum and I will forward it on to her and share her response. But just thank you again for
Oh,
coming
you're
out.
welcome. It
And
was so fun.
I learned a lot today, so I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, campers, we will be back next week with another live stream. So we will see you in just a couple of days.
Good
Bye,
luck, guys.
everyone.